November of 2020, the World Health Organization says, stop using remdesivir. Stop it. It's bad. It doesn't work, and it's leading to more deaths. It leads to kidney injury and liver injury.
The hospital said, just wait, stay home, don't fear. No treatment yet, come back when you can't breathe air. We begged for help, were turned away, till dying breath led us where hope decay. This was the playbook, cold and cruel, where doctors broke their sacred rule. No love, no care, no healing hand, just silence, needles, and reprimand. Behind those walls, our voices died in hospitals where truth was denied. Lock the door, shut out our kin. No priest, no touch, no hope within. Forms unsigned, consent to lie, sedated deep till victims die. They mocked our faith, our vax-free choice, ignored our pleas, erased our voice. No vitamins, no ivermectin, only drugs that brought infection. This was the playbook, dark and planned, with remdesivir in every hand. They forced their poison, mocked our cries, and stared us down as we watched them die. The gaslight burned, the silence screamed, and trust and care was just a dream. Call lights pulled, phones out of reach, no one left to hear us preach. Midazolam and morphine night stole their breath without a fight. DNRs we never signed, palliative lies by design. Dehydrated, starved, restrained in sterile hell. Their lives were drained. Strangers came in FEMA coats, whispers of death in quiet notes. No transfer out, no second chance, just orders barked, no second glance. We saw the sores, the clotting red, the tubes, the cuffs, the things unsaid. Their dignity stripped, left alone, turned to numbers, not flesh and bone. This was the playbook, we now see a twisted path of cruelty, where questions met with guards and shame, and love was labeled as a game. They died in silence, drugged and bound, while profits soared, no soul was found. We won't forget, we won't forgive, we raise their names so truth can live. No more lies behind closed doors, no more silence on hospital floors. This was the playbook, now exposed, and justice waits for those who chose to trade their oath for power and pay. We speak the truth, we won't look away.
All right, welcome to the last day of National Crime Victim Week. It's been a heck of a week. I wanted to start with that song Heidi wrote a year ago when we started down this path. I don't know if people know this, but Betrayal Project USA has hit some pretty big milestones during this week. Number one, it's our first year anniversary in existence. And I feel like we have absolutely went all gas, all skinny pedal all year and accomplished a lot. I'm very proud of the board and the volunteers and the teams and the our partners for like all that we have achieved. And Heidi wrote that kind of at the beginning of our journey. I don't even think we had a website at the time. And we were just very much determined to never forget that there are real people behind these stories and behind these crimes. There's families that are impacted. And so another milestone that we hit was actually being, if you saw our Substack article about it's always the California team doing, no, it's everybody's doing stuff, but you know, they had a win in being actually acknowledged as crime victims. The medical crime victims, they went to the honor march, and they expected to be met with some resistance. And once they explained that their loved ones were killed in hospitals, and they were medical crime victims, and they explained what that was, and they explained that Heidi explained to them that we are the largest crime victim group, medical crime victims in the nation, and yet the most underrepresented. The woman said to her, "Well, welcome. It sounds like you belong here." And the sheriffs stood with her. There's pictures out there. They're holding the signs, and a reporter talked to them and said her mom was killed in Clovis community as well. So, and she got to hand out a lot of stuff and interact with people and really educate people. And it was not only a win for the movement just to get that way. And I know people are gonna be like, but what about the prosecutions? Well, justice starts with recognition. We've been saying it all week, and we're going to keep saying it. It gives her a seat at the table. I mean, it gives her an investigator talk to them, and it's a start. Being recognized is that start, but it was also healing for the victims that went, because to be told for years that you weren't telling the truth, or it didn't happen, or being dismissed, to hear, well, welcome, you belong here, it is absolutely just astonishing. So that was the win. That was a win. And then right after that, a big milestone, y'all, our site was hacked. They went to take down some of our pages. I'd say it's more of a soft hack, because the data's fine, but it was more of denial of service type thing, redirecting. But the first page that bothered them, that they had to take down, was that wall, the memorial wall, and to try to kind of stop us from doing this reading of names. But the show is going on. We will read the names over the target. Yeah, Laura's right. Over the target. My husband always said, when you were over the X in the military, right? So we are definitely over the target. They had to take that. It was growing so huge, and it was going to continue to grow, and it will continue to grow, because it's going to be back up. Our web team is working on that. And so, but it's so intimidating, because it shows this vast map, almost, this of human beings, humans, people, actual people that were medical crime victims. And when you looked at that wall, and I heard from a legislator here in Texas who saw the wall. I heard from a doctor who saw the wall. They were like, wow, even our web guys that were putting up those, putting in the content, had no idea. And they said it's quite sad, because there's so many it's all different states, and it's all different ages, and it's all different. It's very different time spans. And so, so that was really, and then of course they had to take down our petition, but you can still sign it. It's not a petition, it's a proclamation, but you can still sign it off of our website. That's what they don't know. So I will we will get that QR code in the comments at some point here, but you can still sign that. And then they went after our podcast and our resources, the resources that we were sharing, where you could get the documents and the form letters that Leslie went over on Monday to report a crime. That was the second thing that they took down. So that was the other thing that I say we were over the target. They know that there's crimes that you can report. Over the target. Thank you, Vanna. And But here we have those documents. If you need those documents, just send an email to email@betrayalprojectusa.org, and I'll send you those templates and um, and Leslie's presentation. But it's also on our Rumble channel and on Mix Rumble channel, the presentation, and in our private Facebook group, which many of you are in. I have put those in the documents. So we never just leave it to one thing, because we understand that there's bad people out there. So lots of wins, and we're going to continue at the end of this. We'll kind of wrap up with some of the things we're going to be launching off into after that. But I want to say thank you to everyone who participated. There's so much, so many of you just engaged with us all week long and attended all of the sessions. If you missed any of the sessions, again, they're on Rumble, BitChute, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I'm going to get them on Spotify. I'm not a genius when it comes to Spotify. If anybody is a genius when it comes to Spotify, I would love for you to just fill out a volunteer form and say, I'm a Spotify genius on it big, and you will be my favorite person. So yes, recognizing and repetition, evil repeats itself on the news and the media and in the hospitals. Repeat your story over and over again, and that's it. Yep, exactly. Not genius. Oh, yeah. Hashtag me too. All right. So with that, I want to, kind of get into. I want to ask you all to share this live stream. If you're watching on X, share it on your X. See, um, Cheryl Ultra Mega Lynn reposted this stream. Repost it. Visit Mix Patreon, and yes, and if you're on Facebook, share that on Facebook as well. Share it to your Facebook so people join us. And if you are on MySpace, I would also like you to send me a volunteer form so I can ask how Tom is doing. He was good to us and we abandoned him for Zuckerberg. So yeah. All right. So yeah, so let's go ahead to Donna's going to open us up in prayer, and then we are actually going to get right into the names, the reading of the names.
All right. Thank you. Heavenly Father. Oh, sorry. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for being with us during this National Crime Week. As we've tried to shine the light on the pain and the injustice of what our loved ones experienced due to all these medical crimes committed against them, we pray that this is just the beginning. As we continue to expose and bring these crimes to light, help us to break through the noise in a way that is undeniable to anyone who hears these stories, and that they learn and see the truth. Give us wisdom and strength as we stand united for those who cannot, because they are gone, and we will be their voice. Let our work serve as a powerful source of support and love for those who've suffered, because we've emerged as warriors for truth. Lord, as we speak these names tonight, we just ask that you put your hand of comfort and rest upon those who are left behind. May they feel your loving embrace surrounding them, and grant us the grace to support one another as a community as we continue to seek justice and recognition. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Donna. All right, we're going to let me just make sure that I have this big enough. Yeah, that's 175%. So if you're having trouble seeing it, anyone in the comments, you're probably gonna have to make it bigger on your side because it's 175% on mine. All right. So first person is going to be Heidi. Heidi, give it a second to catch up here. Or I may have to. There we go.
David Abraham, Johnny Adams, Michael Ambrose, Chastity Anderson, Mark Anderson, Larry Andrews, Twyla J. Apker, Alfonso Avita, Ernest Kyle Babcock, Tim Baker, Daryl Bapp, Paul Tink Batts, Donnell Burling, Vince Jimmy Bellino, Connie Moore Little Beverly, Gerald Blair, Dell Blankenship, Ian Bonnet, Frank Borges, Robert A. Brock. Go ahead.
Kenneth Eugene Bramlett, Steve E. Brandow, Richard Kenneth Brewer, Michelle Braun, Ronnie Keith Brock, Don Brooks, Stanley Brooks, William Mike Brown, J.C. Bren, Hippy Dippy Cali Girl, Mary Burback, Doris Burdick, Dennis Burgess, Sybil Burke, Jimmy Barnum, Michael V. Burns, Earl Butler IV, Andrew Campbell Sr., Carolyn Carroll. Go ahead. Frank M. Carter.
Roger Lee Carter. Stephen Chambers. Thomas Champion. Richard R. Champlin. Jeanette Chapman. Robert F. Chappie Chapman IV. Edward Chanowski. Janet Ciccone. James Clouser. David Coleman. Robert Conger. John J. Conway, Jr. Kenneth Rusty Cook. Eno Cookwell. Donna Cooley. Beverly Crabtree. Tony Dana. Jimmy Don Davis. William Davis. Next. Next.
So, Marcia, that's going to be you because Leslie's not on.
Jody Dexter. Kevin Dewey. Eris Dobbs. Latasha Marie Dobbs. Fanny Downs. Robert Duffy II. John DuPont. Avelino Duran. Richard E. Eaton. Larry Edmonds. Matthew Edmonds. Joan Ellen Eichmann. Michael Elliott. Paul E. Carl Michael Escura. Lupe Espinoza. Ray Evangelista. Carol Evans. Danny Farney. Anthony Ferrara. Steve Fields. John Sparky Fleming. Shirley Flowers. James Flowers. Donna
Maud Frost, Debbie Gage, Rocky I. Gatan, Vincent Gentile, Daniel Gonzalez, John Goodfellow, Frank Granados Jr., Steve Gregory, Auburn Shea Grundy, Georgette Caccione, James Hadley, Caleb Hall, Jessica Halgren, Roland Harris, Ken Hamilton, Rita Marie Hamilton, Mary Joyce Hastings, Harold Hayward, Rick Haney, Richard Henrick, Mick,
You're on mute.
Thank you. Sherman Herrick, Leroy Hill, Phyllis Hobbs, James Hobbs, James Hodge, Ed Hodges, Claire Hoffman, Raymond Hockett, Terrence Emmanuel Lamont Howard, George Houston, Annette Houston, Roy Darrell Hutchinsons, Josephine Hutchins, Alan Eisner, James Jackson III, Melvin Jackson, Pamela Jean Jenkins, Andrzej Z. Jolowitz, Christine Johnson, Faye Jones, Kayla Juvenile, Jerry K. Gail.
Yep. Colonel Billy J. Caller, USMC, retired. Farzana Kamil, Jerome Superman Casper, Scott Keith, Frank W. King III, Philip Wayne Kindred, Russell Coca, Dr. Gus Katsanis, Keith M. Vasnek, June Lynn Lacey, Edward Labarge, Herbie LePage, Lawrence Larry Lorene, John Ware Lushy, Ed Legault, Robert F. Lewis Jr., Eugen Wiz Lichoseat. I hope I got that right. William Lyons, James Lyon, Joyce McDougall, Martin William McClay, Jim Mad Dog Madigan, Glenn Mahan, Larry Mahan, Charles A. Melito, Heidi,
Ralph M. Terry Maloney, Jim Martin, Steve M. Martin, Trista Martin, Anna Martinez, Philomena Martin, Jim Mastors, Bruce Matthews, Dan McCarthy, Reginald D. McDowell, Jerry L. McLean, William McCollum, Gregory McCollum, Doug McGowan, Richard McGrath,
I think it's McGrath, but yeah.
Del McInchak, Randy McMahon, Sammy McManus, Ron McNutley, Michael H. McVan, Rubens Milano, Doug Mel Em, Lenny Mendez. Go ahead.
Robert Michanowicz, Feeling Tilly Millen, Bernice Bernie Miller, Robert Miller, Steve Montoya, Oscar Moreno, Timothy Morgan, Howard Moore, Mark W. Moorhead, Myrna Morrow, John A. Morrow, Jr., Jeffrey Mose, Joseph Muffollet, Angie Murrieta, Sean Norman, Michael K. Odell, Wayne Oliveira, Todd Austin, and Raul Osuna.
Joan Packard, Bill Papania, Timothy E. Parton, Patty, William Piegler Jr., John H. Pearson, Richard L. Pedigio, Donald Pellaney, Pelly, sorry. Arlie Pelton, David Perez, Ronald D. Pettit, Jerry Flugrat, Gary T. Phillips, sorry, Gary T. Phillips, Linda Picciarolo.
I think it might be
Picciarolo.
Picarella. Picarello.
Picarolo. Linda Picarolo. We hope we did that right. William Pilgrim.
Mike Pilgrim.
Gosh, what's wrong with me? Mike Pilgrim. I need a nap. Mike Pilgrim. My apologies. Genevieve Pilero. Jessica Marie Pinkerton. Angela Plant. Dave Plant. Kevin Henry Lord.
Yeah.
Lord. Or Lord.
Judy Ann Poe. Todd Pointer. Susan Probst. Scott Q. Megan R. Jerry Randolph. Ernesto Ramirez Jr. Kevin Ramos. James Reed. Daniel Scott Rentals. Tina Richardson. Lisa Marie Rice. Rick Rios. Miguel Rodriguez. Ricky Rogers. Jason Christopher Ross. William Rosen. Father Ubad.
Ubald. Ubald. We just call him Father Ubald.
I'm good with that. Father Ubald.
That's what he's known as, so.
Donald L. Russell Jr. Jimmy Rutledge. Margaret Peg Rabus. Louis Salem. Eleanor Sambula. Donna.
Mark Saulnier. Bernie J. Schultz. Seymour Buddy Schwartz. John Allen. Jerry Victor Scott. Tom Seabell. Carolyn Sevier. Michael Shalon. Andrew William Shaw, Charles F. Shepard, Robert Simler, Charles Edwin Smith, Jeffrey R. Smith, Keith Smith, Lee Ann Smith, Matthew Smith,
Okay, Mick, you're next.
Randy Lee Smith, Francis Souther,
Souther.
sorry, forgive me, Souther, Sean Spakes, John Springer, Joyce Starling, O.L. Starling, Wanda Staud Booth, Albert Stigina, Adrian Stigina, Sandy Sterling, William Pete Stewart, Thomas Edward Stinson, excuse me, Lyndall D. Stockstill, James E. Strathern, Eric Sundenheim,
Sondheim.
excuse me, Bud Wilson Sullivan Jr., Dwayne Swede, Paul J. Swenson, Patrick Taylor, Don Truman Taylor, Bryant Jacob Tholoco, Constance Joy Tholoco. My apologies to anybody who I butchered their name, Gail.
You did pretty good. All right. Jim Thehoff, Allison Bukowski Thompson, Theodore R. Turner, Ronald C. Tuttle, Charlotte Ulmer, Tom Ersick, Charles Chuck Benassi, Dan Vandermillen, Stella Van Dorn, Devin Beach, William Thomas Walker, Norman G. Wampler Sr., John E. Wargan, Mike Weedman, Gary T. Wiegand, James Jim Weidler Jr., Jane Williamson, Daniel Wong, Frank E. Wright, Jason York, Matthew John Zapper. That concludes the reading of the names part of tonight. As you can see, there were quite a few names that were not read last Sunday, so I'm glad that we did this again. There was approximately about 100 more names. Some of the people that you saw on there that weren't on there last week, their families had no idea people like us existed. That there were other families that were going through the same thing that they were. So think about that. Like the day you found out that there were other people just like you, and how relieved. I mean, it's sad, but yet relieved you were, and just to know that there were other people who would believe you and that you could grieve with. I mean, one of the number one things that we see is that disenfranchised grief, where people don't believe you and you can't properly grieve. And for that, when our website comes back up, you'll be able to sign up for it. But if you go to our Facebook group and join in our Facebook group, you will see our support group links get posted every Monday. We have a bigger support group, and then Dr. Patty Giuliano runs the PTSD and trauma group on Thursday nights, and that's very helpful for a lot of people because we find that it's very important to tell your story. We want you to tell your stories. It helps other people come forward, but at the same time, we recognize that there's a lot of pain involved, and so we also want to help in that area as well. And that's what our support groups do. They fill that. They don't replace counseling or things like that, but they are a place that you can go and be with other people who understand what you're talking about, and it's not going to look at you like you have 5 heads when you tell them that your loved one was killed in a hospital or that you were attempted to be killed in a hospital. So take advantage of those, especially, the PTSD workshop. And yeah, Kathy, I remember early on, Kathy, we've known each other a long time. She said, if it wasn't for me finding others in the same shoes as I am, I honestly don't think I would be here now. It has been, a lot of us have known each other for, 5 years now. And it has been a journey, an up and down, absolute roller coaster journey. And it was never supposed to be this way. Jackie said, y'all, oh, thank you. Y'all are so awesome for the knowledge I learned this week from this group. I thank you all for your dedication and time. It was a lot of work, but it was worth it. I thought I got an education this week. Let me tell you, there's things I didn't know. But that was one of the biggest wins of the week, right? Was we all learned about each other. So I'm going to take this opportunity, Jackie. It was incredible. We learned about each other. We read a lot of names on Sunday, and we kicked off Crime Victim Week with a vigil. And then a lot of people said, hey, my loved one fits there. Or I don't know if my loved one fits there. And we got more names. But what transpired through the week was we learned what was a crime and what wasn't, and what we could report as a crime and why we should report things as a crime. But then, we learned a lot about protocols and fraud and violations of care. And then everybody learned a lot about hospice and why the assumption of, well, they were dying anyways just isn't true. And then we had brain death and talked to an actual, brain death survivor, which was incredible. Her story is absolutely incredible. And Dr. Hetty Klesick talked a lot about the brain death fallacy and taught us some things. And then we talked about vaccines and survivors. And here we are on Sunday. And I think we just learned a lot about each other. And that was the beauty of all of these groups coming together to fight together, because now you have people who thought people only died were only killed in the hospitals or what have you during COVID. And they learned, no, it's been happening for a long time with hospice. And then the vaccine, we learned a lot about why everybody's impacted by the bioweapons known as the COVID shot and why we should care. I mean, it truly was why should we all care about each other and fight together kind of thing? Because we're all medical crime victims. That's why. No matter how you slice it, people typically fit in. Well, I thought people typically fit into these categories, but we've also learned there's additional categories that have to do with nursing homes and things like that. So we'll be reaching out to those people who reached out to us. So we have, we had some organizations. I had 3 organizations reach out to me saying, hey, we want to talk to you. And so we're going to talk to them. And because many hands make light work. And we're fighting the evidence of our, evident by the fact that our site was hacked, and we're fixing it and putting it back up. We're fighting a giant. It's like we're fighting a giant with 3 small stones, right? Like, well, it's actually 7 stones, and then it's going to be 9 stones, and eventually we're going to have enough stones. But we are fighting a giant, and they have a lot of money and they have a lot of power, but we have skin in the game. We have people that we love who are gone, and they shouldn't be gone. They were taken. And then some of us survivors, we talked about how it's very important for survivors to take full advantage of that second chance. Marcia, tell them what you said the other day. You went to a funeral, and I don't want to butcher it, but it was such a profound statement that pastor said.
Okay. My daughter-in-law's grandmother passed, and I went to her funeral earlier this week. And the pastor said something that to me is so appropriate for what we're doing now. He said, your person dies twice. Everybody dies 2 times. One, when they stop breathing. And the second time is when we stop saying their name. And we're not ever going to stop saying the names of our loved ones. So they're not going to die that second death. And I just thought that was so appropriate for what we're doing to honor all of your loved ones, all of our loved ones, and all of your loved ones. So thank you, Gail.
Yeah, I thought that was really profound. And yeah. So, and it was interesting when you told me that, because when the first page that they attacked on our website was the wall, I thought about that comment that you told us, and I was like, how dare they? That really is what I was so indignant last night. Donna's laughing because she knows I was like, how dare they attack the wall? Well, we will build it bigger. It's going to go back up because the worst they could do was redirect the site. But when we clean the site and get it back up, we're going to grow it bigger. I want you to keep spreading the word for people who have a loved one who was a medical crime victim, to put their loved one on that wall. In the stories section where you can put your intake in, we want to hear not just from people who had a loved one killed due to medical crimes, but we want to hear from you survivors. Survivors are evidence. They are eyewitnesses that are still alive. And so survivors like myself, when we speak out, when we tell our stories, it gives a lot of credibility to people who maybe weren't allowed to be in, who maybe they're like, I think something happened, but I am not sure. And when survivors speak out, it validates everything. It gives credibility to it. Like I'm just saying, I wouldn't have known my aunt was killed in hospice if it wasn't for reading Marsha's book, Betrayed by Hospice Stories from the Deathbed. I wouldn't know all of the things that they did during COVID if I hadn't lived it myself and escaped serial killers. So yeah. And it's important to connect with people who understand and who are part of this. I'm going to open it up if any of you have anything to say before I kind of do a little close.
Could I just say that I really learned a lot this week as well. I learned that there are more medical crimes across the board than I could have even imagined. We heard from a woman who was put on hospice, and a system was basically taking control of her and taking guardianship of her out of the hands of her loving family. We heard you spoke of the Jenny who, was, a brain death survivor as a nurse. My jaw was just open the whole entire time. I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who put their story in. Thank you. Because even though I may not have personally lost a loved one or survived, my heart is with you, because what I saw, the betrayal in the hospital, has been even more reinforced of the need for advocacy, even more of a need to reinforce, to get the word out about this organization and what they're doing, moving ahead of time, joining in with Marsha, joining in with Laura Bartlett. This is what's needed, and God bless it. I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for all that you all have done. Thank you for making this possible. And may God make you recognized beyond your wildest imaginations.
Thank you, Mick. Donna.
So I just wanted to say that whenever we joined to form the advocacy network, I really didn't know what that would look like. And I have learned so much. Like, I never even heard of anybody being diagnosed as brain dead, and they weren't, and they are alive to tell the story. I didn't know that people could go on hospice unless it was imminent, like imminent that they're going to die. And then now I find out so many of them are sent to hospice where they bring on the death sooner. And some of them have lived to talk about it, and they're no longer on hospice. And then something you said earlier about the validation in this group and meeting all these wonderful people who are also grieving. It really was a validation, like you said, because I knew things were wrong. I knew something was terribly wrong, but I was so overwhelmed, so hurried. So everything is like, when you're in there, and as I got home and it was all over, I kept thinking, what just happened? How did this happen? And so like I heard, like, right off the bat, I heard someone say, oh, they just told me that they needed to put my husband on the vent to give his lungs a rest. And my mind like just started racing. I was like, oh my God, I heard the same thing. They said the same thing to me. And there's countless, as you know, there's those 25 hospital deadly playbook, and I can just go down the list. All those things, most of those things happened in our situation. So it's very powerful to get together with a group like this and share, and know that you're not alone.
Yeah, very, very good point. Yeah, we said the same thing. Even though I lived, we were like, what just happened? I mean, we knew what just happened, but we were like, what just happened? To be honest, to this day, there are times when I reach out to people who were there and I'm like, they did try to I'm not just whistling Dixie, like they did try to kill me, right? And they were like, oh yeah, they tried to kill you dead. And because years have gone by, right? So you're like, but somebody sent me a interview I did, like I wasn't even off of oxygen. It was like I got rescued in December of 2021. I got off of oxygen the first week of March. I was done with oxygen, but of 2022. And I did an interview with His Glory TV in February of 2022 because they helped my daughter. They actually helped my daughter connect with Laura's brother, Dr. Bartlett. She snuck into a Clay Clark event. Like she just like she knew what was going on, and she sounded like a crazy person. She was like, the hospital's trying to kill my mama. Like she was just going to everybody. The hospital's trying to kill my mama. But yeah, and
Yeah.
so
The fact they didn't give you water for 7 days and they would have continued if your husband didn't charge the, ICU to rescue you, didn't give you food for 12 days. I mean, what were they doing if it wasn't trying to
yeah,
murder you?
exactly. And so it, but yeah, it's when I looked at that first interview, I could tell, like, me and my it's one with me and my daughter. My daughter hasn't done a lot of interviews, but she did that one. So it's on take 5 from 2022, February 2022. If you ever want to see what she has to say, but I was like, wow, pretty consistent. Like, I mean, that was when our memories were fresh, right? So telling your story and telling it everywhere that you can, it's it's difficult, but it is it's also very healing, and it helps other people. The number of times we hear from people who say, I saw this or that stories. There's always specific stories that just trigger them to do something, but the stories save lives, but they also um, help other people heal, but they help you heal too. Because a lot of people will say, I don't know, I don't know if I can tell my story because I hate to think about it. I just, you're thinking about it anyways. I know you are, because we all are. We're ruminating about it at night. We're trying to find answers to something that doesn't have answers because it doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense what they did, whether it's the hospice protocols or the hospital protocols or the shots. It doesn't make sense. You're not going to make sense out of it. So you're thinking about it anyways. So you might as well speak up. And this is a battle. It's and as we found out this week, it's a little bit of a contact sport as well, a little bit of but we don't give up. This group doesn't give up. The partners that we have in the advocacy network, when Donna said we didn't know what it was going to look like, I didn't know what it was going to look like either, but it sure sounded like a great damn good idea. I mean, we were working with all these people anyways. We were working with Julie Threet and Ron Owens and Laura Bartlett with the I do not consentform.com and hospital hostage hotline, and Dr. Margaret Show, and Leslie Batts, who's trying to get legislation passed in Oklahoma. And who am I leaving out? I mean, we've all been working out. Marsha, sorry, Marsha. I'm like, who am I leaving out? Marsha. Me and Marsha have been like working together for a year, well, it'll be a year in the summer. In the summer we met, right? Yeah. So I came across her website and I was like, wow. And the stories, there was so much crossover. I had to reach out to her and get her on Vindog. But Marsha, what would you say about that? About telling, because Marsha helps do the interviews if they're hospice interviews, because she knows that side of things and can help do that.
Well, I think one of the main things is how gracious that you are about doing them, that we want to honor the people, to remember them as they were before they were murdered by hospice. And I just think the way that it's done is so gentle and kind. Before you even walk into what happened when they got sick, you've told about a person. This is somebody who was loved, cared for, and you lost them. And, Gail gives you the opportunity to talk about their life before this happened, and then to talk about how do you feel now? What did it do to you? What is the residual effect? And talk about a memory, something really cool about that person. And I just think that's wonderful. And you have the pictures and you have the story, them talking, the interview. And it's not really an interview, it's somebody, you're giving somebody a shoulder to tell their story to, because a lot of times people don't have anybody that will believe them. Just like Gail said, they think that didn't happen, you're just making it up, you're just grieving. But Betrayal Project USA gives you the opportunity to tell your story your way, and we believe you. We understand. And I think that's really important to people. And it does help you to, kind of in some way to heal. So I just think you do a wonderful job with it, Gail, you and Teresa. And then the story is written up in a written version with your loved one. And unlike many websites that you go to, if you go to, and I'm not knocking anybody's, but you can't find your story unless you know the date that it happened, and you have to, go through a lot of different podcasts. And with the Betrayal Project, it's right there. You just, you go to it. I look at my mom's picture and I click on her picture and my story comes up. It is the easiest way to go back and find your story or to direct somebody to your story. So I just give you 2 thumbs up, Gail. You guys have done an amazing job.
Thank you. And you've been a really great partner in getting people motivated to tell their stories. And here's one of the things too. We take those stories and we're turning them into articles for the Substack. We're turning them into like crime type articles because that helps the story trend. Heidi's doing songs for people who want their story in a song. And you heard the song that we opened with, that was about our playbook. And then she's just started writing songs. The one yesterday was the one that she wrote for me and Huckleberry about him rescuing me. I came for my wife. It's called. She wrote one for you're going to hear going out, one about hospice, and I'm working on the pictures turning into a video for the one for Marsha's mother. But she takes the stories and she turns them into songs, and people love them. It's like your story in a song, and they get spread. Some of y'all have songs who've told your story, but she takes that and she does. Donna listens to. We all listen to all the stories, even if we didn't do the interview. But there's times, Donna, I'm just going to tell you, there's times when she's called me and she's like, I just finished watching that story and I'm so mad. Like, I'm so mad. And I'm like, I know but people believe me, like they will watch every story. It's so appreciated that you tell your story because it validates and it makes people, and it is just an incredible thing. And I have never without fail, I've never had anybody tell their story or do an interview, sit down for an interview with us to talk about their story and say that they regretted it. Never. Like, it's always in fact, then sometimes we'll get you on, like, if you want to be on podcasts, we'll get you connected and we'll get you on with some of the podcasters we know. And people are like, I want to do another podcast. And then we want to find more podcasters to tell the stories because it matters. It matters when medical crime victim stories become mainstream, when a lot of people are telling the same story, it has to become mainstream. They can ignore 10 of us who are always out there, or 20 of us that are always out there on every platform. I've done a big list of interviews, and they can ignore us because it's like, oh, it happened to 10 people, it happened to 20 people or 30 people. Imagine if everybody who had a story started telling it on some platform publicly. They're looking at a real family, real people with a real story. And they can't ignore hundreds or thousands of people, tens of thousands of people telling the same story. I mean, there's over 7,000 people in your Facebook group, right, Marsha? Like 7,300 now. There's we know of 3,000, little over 3,000 protocol victims that have come forward. Then you've got the shot injured. I think there's 26,000 of the people who either had somebody die from the shot or, I mean, there's more than that, but I'm just talking about in the Facebook group alone. If everybody was like, yeah, I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to tell my story. I'm not going to be silent. That we'd be unstoppable. It'd be like, they'd be shaking in their boots. So Laura, you've been in this fight a few days. You've been in this fight for a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while. I have to say that this organization, Betrayal Project, is what I wish I had had, our family would have had when my mom died in hospital on Mother's Day when I was in my 20s. I've outlived her. It was tragic. It was a, it wasn't something you can never be prepared for something like that. It rocked our family. I had just had my second son and my mom saw him once. I was going to see her just a couple of weeks later and she was supposed to be in and out same day. And they made a mistake and and they covered it up and it was terrible. But anyway, I wish I had had this, this organization to help get through that. So oddly enough, Gail, nobody could save my mom, but my brother helped save your daughter's mom.
Yeah. Isn't that
Yeah.
crazy?
So 30 years later. So anyway, I just appreciate you guys. Everybody, your board is amazing.
Yeah.
Everybody has the right heart. Everybody's in it for the right reasons. And that's so rare to find a group of people that really just care about complete strangers, you know? And I feel like I got kind of a home, like I'm adopted into your family because I was just kind of hanging out there doing my own thing with a cell phone and an 888 number, just trying to keep people from being victims. So thank you for letting me be here tonight. And
Yeah.
actually, one of my hotline callers' husband was a name read tonight. And that was special. Thank you for letting me be here. I love you guys.
Yeah. Ditto. I like, we're kind of like the land of misfit toys in the little cartoon there where we're all struggling. We're all just struggling, little bitty people fighting the same monster. And it's like that. And that's so true of like the population out there, y'all. Like when our site gets back up, which um shouldn't be too long. We well, okay, so you can go on our social media too, on our Rumble channel and on our Facebook and YouTube channel. We've got it for as long as YouTube will let us be there. We're going to be there. In our BitChute, and we have a volunteer orientation video on there, right? So go watch that if you want to get involved with our organization, because everybody has some type of talent. Everybody, and we've seen this over and over again. We are just a group of people who are, you know, we're not professional. I say it all the time. We're not professional democide fighters. Or Holocaust fighters or whatever. We're just average people who got thrust into this battle because something happened to us, just like you guys. We're just like, we're all just the same. We're all just the same. And so get involved, because I'm going to tell you something. The battle is raging. It is raging and it's not going to stop. So what's our choices? We can pretend it's not happening, but we know it's happening. We're hurting every day anyways. Or we can sit on the sidelines, or we can jump on the battlefield and do whatever we can, no matter what that is. I don't care if you got 1 hour a week or like, we will connect you. We'll get connected. But go find that video and watch the orientation and see if our organization is something that you would like to you'd like to get involved with, because we've got a place for you, trust me. there's a lot of work to be that we got a lot of ideas, and we could. Laura comes up with fresh ideas every day. We need to be able to put those into use. Heidi calls me with some fresh ideas every day too, some big ones. Heidi's got some big ideas. Heidi, what do you got to say? How is crime? I mean, you've had some big wins for Crime Victim Rights Week, and you have wins every week because you're standing outside those hospitals with those big, beautiful signs. But let's hear from you.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I loved, about this week is how we all came together to inform the nation, right, about what's been occurring in the hospitals with the hospital COVID protocol, which is still in place. We have educated the nation on, the deadly effects of the COVID-19 vaccine. There's a lot of people who have died and who were injured. We were able to, bring awareness, to the hospice murders that are still occurring, across the country. And yeah, we were able, to warn people about, the brain dead fallacy, which just is a term. When you hear brain dead, when doctors use the word brain dead, it just means you have a brain injury, right? You can totally heal from that. And they don't tell you that because it is a vehicle they use for organ procurement, for organ harvesting, because they have to have live patients. You can't take organs from a dead person.
Yeah, exactly. And Heidi jumps into every single fight that there is in this space. I'm just going to tell you, in California, there's not one that she won't jump into. I love that about her.
Yeah, well, yeah, 5 years in now, right? We're like, what can we do to save lives? Because they're killing people every day. So we hold signs in front of the hospital to help educate the people, because you're not going to hear it on the news. You're not going to hear it on the radio. We do have freedom of speech still, or else I wouldn't be able to stand, on the corners in front of the hospital. But what we don't have is freedom of press. There's no freedom of press. They're not talking about the protocols. They're finally starting to come around and talk about the shots, but it took 5 years, It's
Yeah. And the only thing they're talking about in terms of hospice or the nursing homes is the fraud, where they are the victims. It's like, and so what's next for us is one of our big goals this year, and I think National Crime Victim Rights Week and the wins that we've had have really kind of become a springboard for this, is fighting back against the propaganda. We're 5 years behind with the COVID stuff, fighting the propaganda, the words that they used and the things that they said were very specific, and they were very well. It was the best PSYOP ever PSYOPed in America, because people kind of believed it. But there's propaganda. There's a lot of propaganda and language used in all of these fights. I found in the hospice fight, in the nursing homes. There's gaslighting. Like, it's just one big gaslight. Like I was telling Mick before we started that if the government was my boyfriend, I would have broken up with him a long time ago, because I'd have been like, you're the most abusive relationship I've ever had in my life. Like, everything that you do to me, it's, here's your ring back. But like, no, I would keep the ring. I would totally keep the ring and pawn it. But, because that's what you do. That's what you do when you break up with a narcissist like the government. I'm just kidding. Again.
Well, they've taken enough, they've taken enough from us. So, it's time to take a little back from them, But you're right about the language, Gail. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. You're right about the language.
I was just saying, keep the CD collection.
keep the CDs on the sweatshirt, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right, right. I tell ya, it is amazing to me to even see that, I don't think they are aware of the tsunami that really is awakening.
Right.
And you were talking about the language, and you were talking about, the way that they change those words. It's um I think a lot of people they're seeing that now. How many people, I was talking about a Rasmussen poll that was done in 2024, and they were polling people about the COVID hospital protocols, and a third of the people that they polled said the deaths were because in the hospitals were because of the COVID hospital protocols. People are starting to hear, wait a
Yeah.
minute, safe and effective wasn't safe and effective. And now, for the first time in America, the very first time, we had the American Pediatric Association putting pediatric stroke protocols into place. And we know that one of the biggest issues that came from the bioweapon that
Yeah.
contained mRNA was neurological issues, and a neurological issue is stroke. I mean, you cannot deny. And so many people, I think, are going to say, they're saying it right now, us too, us too, us too. And you said it the best. There are connections across. One of the things that I see over and over is incentivization. Just incentivize. They threw money at organ harvesting. They threw
Yeah.
money at hospice. They threw money at the hospitals at the height of COVID. We got to fight back. It's not too late, though.
And
We can do it.
and it starts with taking back. I mean, we have to take back the language, and we
Power.
have to get the whole pop. And so, like, that's kind of what we're working on next is
Take back our power too.
take back.
Laura Bartlett and I do not consent, and I'll shut up and lay the cat down with this, but take back that power. We have the right. We are the sovereign. It is within our control.
You can say no in writing, and that is very important, because a lot of people now, with probably the number one thing people reach out to us for, especially if they have lost a loved one or had a loved one killed in the hospital, is there's a panic when anybody gets sick. There's and rightfully so. I mean, they don't know how to protect them. They don't know they're afraid. And so and make sure you go to, it's so easy, I do not consent form.com. And Laura has instructions on there. And if you go to the Dr. Margaret Show website, there's information there. When our website comes back up, those links are also in the in our resources. We don't put the form in our resource because we want you to go and get the actual form from I do not consent form.com, because Laura's making it easier for me. I do not consent form.com. And it's literally, we say it's literally black and white because her website's black and white. And so, and she has instructions on how to use it. It's pretty simple. We know of a couple people who were victims who used it recently in the last month or two. And they had their loved ones that went in the hospital had completely different experience. They rolled out the red carpet. So we've seen it work. We've absolutely seen it work. It saved a life. So
with this testimonial, Gail?
Huh? Yes. So
Has anybody ever heard of,
say again?
has anybody ever heard of this sort of thing happening? Have you ever heard of somebody going in for COVID and having pneumonia, and 6 days you're out of the hospital because you did not get remdesivir, you did not get a ventilator, you did not get the COVID-19 shot, but you did get 2 requests?
Yeah.
that you asked for on that form. So,
Yeah.
budesonide, you got high dose vitamin C, almost unheard of. It happened with this document. So I just wanted to say
The
that.
document's good. The document's good. If I had had that document when I went in, it would have been a little bit different. And if it wasn't different, I'd have a real strong basis to sue them. Like, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, because I do not consent form. It's not a directive that takes effect when you can't speak for yourself anymore. It's saying no in writing, as Dr. Margaret always puts out there. You can say
It's
no
an
in writing.
advocate.
Yeah.
It's an advocate.
It's
It
written
advocates for you.
That's right. It's written so well. That's why go get the actual form from idonotconsentform.com, because it's written so well that there's no gotchas, nothing can be misconstrued, but make sure you get the right one. The what do you call it? The designer version, not the
I don't
Chinese
get the cheap knockoff.
because your
Have you ever
fingers
seen pinatas that are a knockoff? Like it's supposed to be Snoopy, and then it doesn't look like Snoopy. It's
yeah, don't do that.
Another country's version of Snoopy. It's got like a short
It's
muzzle and bug eyes. And you're like, it kind of looks like
Snoopy.
Snoopy because it's white and it's got a black nose, but
Or
I get the real thing.
They had the original fingerlings, those little animals, and then there was a knockoff, and it turned kids' fingers different colors, and they couldn't get the colors off. Like, so it's okay. So Jackie says, "What do we do with the form once it's filled out?" Take it, Laura.
Well, once it's filled out, you're not going to sign it until you're in front of a notary. So you're going to complete it, wait till you're physically in front of a notary, and then you're going to sign it. And then you're going to make copies, and then you're going to put the original somewhere safe at home. And you're going to keep copies with you. You're going to take a picture of it on your cell phone so you have a digital copy. And you're going to have about 10 copies that are in your car, in your purse. You're going to keep a couple of different places, give it to friends. The moment you go to the hospital, that's when you use it. When you're at the hospital for an ER visit or for scheduled surgery. And all the other details are at idonotconsentform.com. I'm happy to have a conversation with you. It's been used for heart surgery. It's been used for hernia surgery, back surgery. I'm trying to think all the different, abdominal surgery, knee surgery. It's been used for all kinds of different surgeries, but it's also very useful at the ER. So you don't get if you don't want in the arm or other things, other treatments, tests, vaccines, etc.
We even used it for somebody who was dying, actively dying. Well, she was dying, but and I'll tell you what didn't happen. What did not happen was the closer didn't come in and close on her. So she was able to have all of her last moments that she needed to have. There was, I mean, it can't, the form can't make somebody not die naturally, right? But she got to go out. She got to leave this earth on God's time, right? Like, with dignity. And so that form, plus everything we learned in Marsha's book, helped it, because it's, you need to have. Marsha always says knowledge is power. On her Facebook page, it's big as bold can be. Knowledge is power, and it is power. So is that document. Very important to protect ourselves and our loved ones. Very important. And so
people might want to know how it came about. It was in the field, in the trenches, while doing hospital rescues.
Yeah.
I got tired of people not knowing that they were giving their loved one drugs and they were not told. And I
Right.
was like, this enough's enough. After the last widow, freshly minted widow that I was consoling, that I was trying to help not become a widow, I said, I promise you, I will, let's fix this. Let's make sure that doctors are held accountable. And so
Yeah.
it was halfway through my journey doing advocacy, doing hospital
Right.
rescues.
Exactly. And so I think one thing that this week has taught us too is there's a need for us to do additional live streaming and deep dive into some of these topics, and we're gonna set that up too, and kind of set up a schedule ahead of time. It's not going to be every night because we're tired. No, it's not going to be, but maybe we'll do one or two a month. We'll pick a topic, and if we see everybody struggling with a specific topic or something that's happening in the news or in government, we'll do a deep dive on that topic. So we are going to be educating and advocating all at the same time and helping people who are. Go ahead, Laura. I saw you raise your
I was going
finger.
to say that I'm happy to, I'm happy to do like a live document completion. Everybody have their forms. I've done this on Telegram, and then you just get them completed, ready to get notarized. So I'm happy to do that.
That's awesome. So Laura has volunteered to do the first one, and I'm gonna get with her on that. And that's a great idea, actually, because that I do get questions about I do not consent form.com. I get questions about where to find protocols. I get questions about. There's so many things I get questions about. I get tax questions, and I don't know anything about taxes, y'all. So I don't know everything. Like if
we have our, I do not consent forms, and it was really easy. And just so people know, you can get, the notary done almost anywhere. We went to UPS. It was that simple.
That's right, because you faxed me a copy of your. I do not.
You have my.
I have a copy of Heidi's. I do not consent form to implement. She's like, I need you to have it because I know you'll.
So, Gail, can
You're
we give
trusted-
everybody your phone number?
trusted person.
Do what? Are we giving everybody my phone? I gave my phone number out that one time.
Just kidding.
Wow. That's dangerous. Hey, I'd like to say this too. This is for nurses who are advocates out there. This is something that I've done a deep dive into the Oklahoma Nurse Practice Act, and this is absolutely something that not only can be but should be utilized when your patients come to you and they say, hey, I have concerns, I have questions. This is absolutely a tool that is so useful, and there's no downside to it. It is something that is able to be upheld not just by your hospital, but it's being upheld by the Nursing Practice Act. So, I mean, I can speak for that right in my state. So there's just no need for it to not be used. That's a double negative. There's a need for it to be used. There's no need for it not to be used. In other words, use it, because it really does work, and it really does make a difference, and it really does give you the protection.
Yep, and you see Laura's got her hospital hotline up there.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, I'm happy to have a conversation with you. You just call that number for free. I'm at the low price of free. Or anything, except for moving. I won't move your couch or your house, but I'll help you with just about everything else.
Our support groups are also free. Everything's free, but we always do appreciate when people go on if our site was up we would say go shop our merch or donate, but because we do have official crime week stuff out there, and I know a lot of y'all have asked for certain shirts to be out there, and they're coming, but we couldn't do it during crime week because we've been planning this since February, so we've had a lot to do to get ready for everything that you saw unfold this week. So but if you asked for a shirt to be put out there, like the Widow Warrior shirt, that's coming. That we have it designed. It's going to be going out there. I promise you. And the tumblers are going to be going out there. There was just only so much bandwidth we had to get that stuff done, but I am going to get that done. And I am going to, I do want to show something here. I'm going to show you something. Let me see if I can. Yeah. I want to see if there's a good enough picture. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share my screen again. Share this tab. Oh, I got to put it on stage. Okay. So, this was the Substack article about the win, about what the ladies in California did. You see, they're all wearing, excuse me, hold please. All right. See, they're all wearing the National Crime Victim shirts. So they went to this event looking very official, to be honest. But the greatest picture of all was this one. If you can see that, the sheriff's department was relating to them and standing with them and, holding their sign and talking to them. And they, got to talk to an investigator and a reporter and all that. But those shirts are on our website. They will be on our website. The other thing that you can do is on our social media, we have, buy us a coffee. We always appreciate every little, it all adds up, right? Like, so, we do have costs, and it's not helpful when, people are trying to take down our site. So, we also do a Saturday Spaces. So if you're on X, if you're not on X, you should get on X, because we do have some pretty decent reach on Twitter X. And so follow our X account, which is betrayal_PROJ. Heidi is California Betrayal Project. But you follow us and join our spaces. So I'm going to ask if anybody has anything else to say, and then I am going to close us out in a song with the video and song that Heidi wrote for Betrayed by Hospice. And then that'll conclude our Crime Victim Week and this episode of A Nation Betrayed. Anybody have anything to say? Yes, follow Laura at RPT, not patient. It's RPT Rights. And Dr. Margaret is the Dr. Margaret Show. Follow that. Follow Dr. Margaret's Substack, The Rebel Patient, because a lot of the questions people ask me are also on that Substack. All of your things you ask about she's probably written about. She writes some great articles. Follow our Substack at Betrayal at Substack, Betrayal Project USA. and you can connect with us individually. So, all right. With that, I'm going to close this out in this song, and I appreciate y'all.
Hospice was created to minimize pain for the actively dying. Today, it is pushed for people with illnesses that can be treated, and they're given a one-size-fits-all drug cocktail, drugged into a coma, starved and dehydrated to death. Condoned premeditated murder saves the government money, the facility and staff make money, and our loved ones pay the ultimate price, their life. Don't be the next victim. Knowledge is power.
In the 60s came a vision from a healer's gentle hand. Dom Sisley founded hospice, a light across the land, for the dying, not the living, to bring comfort, not dread. Hospice was a promise, no euthanasia, no hastening of death. Marsha Joyner's a mother, still strong, admitted with care. Hospice promised comfort, but danger was there. Days passed with medications, sedation pushed fast. A mother still breathing, her life fading too fast. Hospice has changed from mercy for the dying to euthanizing the ill without asking or trying. Consent ignored, drugs pushed to extreme. The mission of comfort replaced by corporate greed. There's a world of difference the families know well, between easing the pain and drugging someone, causing death, minimizing suffering with gentle guiding hands. It's not drugging to coma, to death's dark demands. Lives cut short by being drugged, starved, dehydrated to death. Hospice now a regime of drug cocktails with each breath. No explanation, no knowledge, no consent given. Comfort replaced with a system unforgiven. 34 families, each tale a warning bell. Loved ones lost suddenly in what should have been care. Well, dehydration ignored, drugs administered too strong. Promises of mercy replaced by what's wrong. 34 voices cry out the same. Hospice has shifted, but who takes the blame? From history's promise to betrayal instead, we're singing the stories from the deathbed. Drug cocktails delivered with no second glance. Sedation mistaken for a natural dance. Brain death declared, organs taken too soon. Assisted suicide cloaked beneath a false moon. Fraudulent hospices lining their purse. Every story a testament, each chapter a call. 34 families, 34 cries. Each one echoes through hospice lies. From respite care to routine checks. Too many ended in sudden wrecks. The system promised care, but left them misled. Marsha's mother and others betrayed in their bed. Day one admitted, still walking and aware. Day two, medication sedated her there. Day three, fading eyes half closed in dread. By day four, she lay silent, her spirit misled. Family begged for clarity, answers denied. Hospice comfort was only a lie. 2 million patients in 2022. $1 billion industry growing anew. 32 billion in 21's take. Projected to double by 2030's wake. For profit agencies now dominate the scene, prioritizing profits over care unseen. 34 voices cry out the same. Hospice has shifted, but who takes the blame? From history's promise to betrayal instead, we're singing the story patient is due, no profit, no silence, just mercy. Instead we carry Marsha's story and all the rest from the text that